Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. The big stories tonight. Experts are flagging a surge in Metro Manila's transmission rate, which is now above the threshold of rate of 1. They say it's manageable, but they're warning of higher cases in the coming days. In order to crack down on quarantine violators during the holidays, the Philippine National Police will be monitoring social media posts. The PNP is on full alert for the holidays. The suspension of NLEX Corporation's business permit in Valenzuela stays. The toll operator is now open to be going barrierless in 2 to 3 years' time. After a 9-month moratorium, a truck ban is once again in place in Metro Manila, but a truckers group says the move will only worsen holiday traffic. And Pfizer's vaccines have already been shipped for distribution in the United States. Canada follows suit with the first batch of doses already arriving in Montreal. We begin with an update from UP experts on the status of COVID-19 transmission in Metro Manila. The UP Octa research team says the R0 in NCR has now passed the threshold rate of 1. What does this figure mean? Greg Gregorio explains in this report.
UP experts are warning about the continuous rise of the COVID-19 infection rate in the country this Christmas season, particularly in Metro Manila. The number indicates how contagious a disease is, which then helps experts predict the movement in cases, assuming that all individuals in a given population are susceptible. An infection rate of less than 1 is ideal. According to the UP Octa research team, from 0.77 back in late October, the number increased to 0.87 after a month. However, Professor Guido David says the transmission rate in NCR has exceeded the 1 threshold on Monday, reaching 1.06 to be exact.
As low as mga 0.66 last October, and then November, mga nasa 0.7, 0.8, and then this December, mga 0.9, and ngayon, actually, by the latest calculation, greater than 1 na siya.
Such increase in infection rate might translate to higher cases in the next couple of weeks. Despite this, David says the COVID-19 situation in the capital region is still manageable ahead of the holidays.
Yung actual cases naman siyempre babantayan natin. And right now sa Metro Manila, it's still mga 400, less than 400 cases per day. So kahit tumaas siya to mga 600 cases per day or 700 by end of December, manageable pa naman yan.
Meanwhile, the health department maintains that the rate remains below 1 as they have yet to verify the data from the UP Octa.
Sa ngayon, nakikita natin yung ating transmission rate is still below 1. Ano? These are modeling, no? They are modeling. And these are based on scientific assumptions.
Vergara notes that they appreciate the intent of the experts to warn the public against a possible spike in cases.
Gusto natin paghandaan ito by informing the public, no, that there could be this possible surge after the holidays kung hindi natin ipapatupad na maigi ang minimum public health standards.
Other health experts are also calling for toned-down celebrations, especially in households with children.
Nakita nila pwedeng mas mataas pa ang load ng virus, so ang virus na nasa kanilang mga katawan at na binubuga nila kaysa sa ibang mga matatandang nasa ICU. It is strongly recommended by pediatricians for children to remain home.
Otherwise, Nolasco is urging families to opt for well-ventilated venues on top of observing strict COVID-19 measures. For News 5, Greg Gregorio, we are One News.
And with that update from Octa Research, those who wish to return to their provinces this holiday season might have to reconsider their plans. This is on top of the strict requirements travelers will have to deal with. What are those? Jenny Dongon tells us.
It's been the Luwalhati clan's tradition to go to Daig Camarines Norte every Christmas. As early as October, they have already been working on a plan for holiday reunion. But Christina's 2 daughters recently caught COVID-19. 8 of her other family members were forced to undergo quarantine.
Lalo na ngayon, hindi kayo makakawin dahil wala ng pera. Pandemic, gano'n. Ang daming mga kailangan. Kaya parang nakakainis na pumunta muna dun.
And even if her daughters have already recovered, Christina highlighted the tedious process that passengers have to take all the same.
Kailangan bago ka sumakay ng kailangan swab test. Pagdating mo rin sa kailangan mo pa mag-quarantine ng 14 days. Hindi lang daw 14 days ang pag-inano doon eh. Hindi lang. Pagka 14 days, tapos di ka kagad papasok doon sa barangay. Ganun yung nila. Kaya parang hirap. Kasi sayang yung araw na ipupunta mo ron na ilang araw ka nga lang eh. Quarantine pa lang, ubos na yung araw mo.
Such strict requirements are also cumbersome for Maria, who serves as a housekeeper in Manila. She hails from Haro Leyte and wants to reunite with her parents after a long while. But based on their municipality's memo last month, she has no choice but to spend the holidays away from home. The Regional Interagency Task Force imposed a moratorium on the return of locally stranded individuals from December 15 to 31.
Parang mabigat sa dibdib. Ganun, mabigat. Yung uwi ka po pero parang pinipigilan ka, ganun po yung pakiramdam. Na kung dati madali lang po eh.
The Interior Department clarifies technically there is no holiday exodus this Christmas season. Travel restrictions are still in place, both internationally and domestically. DILG Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya urges the public to just celebrate Christmas with their immediate family to reduce the risk of transmission. The Philippine National Police advises everyone to know about the respective LGU's requirements before planning any activity. The usual requirements include a valid ID, barangay health clearance, and a negative swab test result. A travel permit from the PNP may also be necessary. The PNP also warned against presenting fake swab test results following the Boracay incident in which 5 tourists submitted documents based on their companion's genuine test result. For News 5, Jenny Dongon, WR1 News.
The PNP is reminding the public they will be monitoring social media platforms to hunt down quarantine violators during the holidays. In today's Laging Handa briefing, Joint Task Force COVID-19 Shield Commander Cesar Binag says the PNP is on full alert as Christmas is fast approaching. He says quarantine offenders surged to more than 620,000 from just a little more than 600,000 2 weeks ago. On top of the PNP's monitoring list are high-risk areas like supermarkets, malls, and other commercial centers like the Visoria. Binag adds that although authorities will check on social media posts, the PNP will not violate people's privacy.
Kami ho ay sumusunod dito sa ating tinatawag na Data Privacy Act sa pagtupad ng aming tungkulin. At dito naman ho sa pagmamonitor sa social media, ito naman ho yung mga public postings na ginagawa nila ng ating mamamayan.
Manila's envoy to Beijing assures China's COVID-19 vaccines will not be used to secure concessions from the Philippines, especially not on the issue of the West Philippine Sea. In a palace briefing, Ambassador Chito Santa Romana acknowledged concerns that China's shots could come at a cost in the future. A paper published by the Yusof Ishak Institute in Singapore says China's vaccine diplomacy is not unconditional. Santa Romana assures that Beijing has good intentions.
The Chinese have offered this. It's part of their campaign to improve China's standing in the world and to win the hearts and minds of people. The point of this vaccine diplomacy is, on the one hand, yung pledge nila to make it a global public good, to make it available.
We'll go for a quick break. When the big story returns, NLEX operations in Valenzuela City remain suspended. The LGU wants barriers to be removed permanently. And trucks are now being forced to make deliveries under a limited time. A truck ban is once again in place in the metro. The details later. Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. Officials of the North Luzon Expressway and Valenzuela City have finally sat down to tackle issues hounding the implementation of a cashless system. News 5's Gerard de la Peña to give us the latest. Gerard, how did the dialogue go?
Robbie, after it was called off last week, the meeting between the NLEX Corporation and the Valenzuela LGU finally pushed through. But even with the meeting, the toll operator's business permit remains suspended. Officials from NLEX Corporation and the Valenzuela City LGU have finally met on Monday to tackle issues on the implementation of cashless toll transactions. Citing his reasons for suspending the company's business license, Valenzuela City Mayor Rex Gatchalian says the inefficient reloading and sticker installation in toll gates caused heavy traffic in the city. He says that RFID tags also do not have real-time crediting, while some cannot be detected or read. Some motorists also saw deductions in their accounts even though they did not pass through any toll gates.
You have to fix the interface somehow. Nag-privatize ho tayo, kung matatandaan natin, ng mga assets ng gobyerno kasi naniniwala tayo na ang mga concessionaire o ang private sector may technical expertise. Dapat mas magaling sila than sa government.
NLEX Corporation admits that its system is far from perfect, but improvements are now underway. The toll operator says it will reopen cash lanes. It will also relocate the reloading and sticker installation sites so as to free up the toll gates and ease congestion. NLEX has also provided handheld scanners for damaged and undetectable stickers. The operator has also laid out plans to reconfigure Karuhatan Toll Plaza. The move will allow for the accommodation of more vehicles. NLEX said it will also raise the barriers when there's heavy traffic. Mayor Gatchalian, however, suggests to permanently remove barriers to speed up traffic flow.
There can be no gray area. It's either we're barrierless, barriers up, or barriers down. Because what makes that window na pagka-rush hour exempted from all those limitations or challenges? Regulatory, as you point out, safety, as you point out, revenue loss, as you point out.
NLEX officials say there are many factors involved in a barrierless system such as the infrastructure.
Paayusin po natin yung configuration ng mga lanes, lalagyan natin ng gantry. At yan pong gagawin natin yan, we'll have coordination with the regulatory agency. No?
But the operator says it can impose a barrierless or open road tolling system in 2 to 3 years. At the end of the meeting, the suspension of the toll operator's business permit was still not lifted. NLEX was asked to explain, if not come up with a better solution. Both parties will also sign an agreement to ensure that solutions to the RFID mess are being implemented. The Toll Regulatory Board has already recorded a 90% shift to cashless transactions in tollways. The TRB says that over 3.7 million RFID stickers have been installed, an increase from 1.4 million when the program started.
Robbie, Mayor Gatchalian said that the ball is now with the NLEX Corporation to finally roll out its promised improvements as well as to convince the LGU to have its business permit reinstated. Robbie.
Maraming salamat, Gerard de la Peña. Authorities have resumed a truck ban in key thoroughfares in Metro Manila, including EDSA. Camille Samonte is live in Quezon City to give us updates. Camille, how are truck groups taking this return to a pre-pandemic traffic policy?
Not well, Robbie. In fact, they appeal to authorities to reconsider the truck ban's re-implementation. They say it could do more harm than good to the expected holiday traffic jam. Truck drivers and operators now have to worry about squeezing in deliveries in a shortened time frame and use proper lanes, or else risk paying a 2,000 peso fine. Cargo trucks with gross vehicle weight of more than 4 tons are now prohibited from using major thoroughfares in Metro Manila starting today. Trucks are now only allowed in Metro Manila's main roads for a limited time. The ban is in place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday to Saturday. A total truck ban has been enforced along EDSA from Magallanes Interchange in Makati City to North Avenue in Quezon City 24 hours from Monday to Sunday. The MMDA says the re-implementation of the truck ban will help ease road congestion this holiday season.
Naobserbahan ko po medyo lumuwag po yung ating C5 dahil nga po sa mga nawala po yung mga truck.
The MMDA suspended the truck ban in March to facilitate smooth movement of essential goods during the COVID-19 lockdown in Luzon. Some drivers now complain about the truck's ban impact on their daily wage. They have to shoulder the 2,000 peso fine should they violate the truck ban and not use the truck lane.
Sa amin kasi yan maapektuhan talaga. Malaki ang bayad nun Kawawa kami.
A truckers group thinks the move may only worsen traffic with more trucks attempting to reach their delivery targets in a shorter period. Rupert Bayokot is appealing to the MMDA to implement a 24/7 single lane for trucks instead.
9 hours. After truck ban hours, yung truck ho namin, nagkukumahog yan, nagmamadaliha yan na umabot sa mga delivery schedules. Kaya ang ginagawa ho ng mga driver, lahat ho ng lane sinasakop na ho nila, kaya agad-agad maramdaman ng mga motorista na may mga truck.
Robbie, the MMDA assures that the truck ban reimposition will not hamper the flow of supplies, given that this was already the system before the pandemic. Meanwhile, the traffic situation here in C5 Road in Katipunan is very light since the window hour has ended earlier this afternoon. Robbie?
Maraming salamat, Camille. That was Camille Samonte reporting live from Quezon City. The arrested 6 trade union organizers and a journalist dubbed as the Human Rights Day 7 would never have had guns and grenades, insist their loved ones. The 7 are facing charges of illegal possession of firearms and explosives. In a press conference, the families denounced the charges, which they say were made up. But the PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group maintains the arrests made last Thursday were all valid based on Quezon City Court warrants.
These warrants have been applied for based on information, credible and reliable, provided by informants.
And these are the other big stories today. Former Quezon Governor and now 2nd District Representative J.J. Suarez is facing yet another round of graft and corruption charges before the Ombudsman. The complaint alleges that he stole some 56 million pesos in cash advances from public funds along with 3 other officials during his term as governor from 2010 to 2019. Suarez was earlier slapped with a corruption case for the alleged misappropriation of 70 million pesos worth of agricultural and marine supplies. The government's task force against corruption, which is led by the Justice Department, says criminal complaints against supposed corrupt officials will be filed within the month. PLDT is ramping up capital expenditures next year to a record high of 88 to 92 billion pesos. That marks a 20 to 25% increase from capex this year and in 2019. Leading government's call to improve telco services, SMART President and CEO Al Panlilio says the firm aims to meet the surge in customer demand for data during the pandemic. With 221 yes votes, the House of Representatives approved on third and final reading the extension of the 2020 General Appropriation Act's validity. The measure ensures the availability of funds under the 2020 budget until December 31, 2021. The funds will be used for projects and programs for COVID-19 efforts. We'll take another break. More of the biggest stories when we come back. Stay with us. Good evening, I'm Robbie Alampay. You're still watching The Big Story. Giving out aguinaldos in lucky red envelopes may now be a thing of the past, and as Shaida Francisco shows us in this report, the pandemic is pushing Filipinos to find ways to keep the Christmas tradition of gift-giving alive despite the new normal. Let's watch this.
With health and local government officials barring the traditional house-to-house caroling, Mark opted to do his annual Christmas caroling online.
Hello po sa mga ninang ko dyan at ninong, baka naman. Actually, nahihiya ako sa kanila kasi baka sabihin nila, ang tanda ko na tapos nangangaroling pa ako. Pero sana napasaya ko sila. Try ko nga baka mag-send yung ninang ko. Baka bigyan ako ng pamasko sa
His namesake, Mark Francis, plans to reach his ninong and ninang via video call. As early as now, he is already practicing what to say.
Mamasko po. Order mo lang po ako.
Children are also resorting to online platforms and asking for aguinaldo. But even godparents have come up with strategies to send gifts to their inaanak without the need for face-to-face interaction. Marites will rely on e-commerce platforms to buy gifts for her more than 20 godchildren.
Tanungin ko yung nanay niya kung yung pinagkakahiligan niya ngayon. Tapos, mamimili ako siguro sa online na lang kung ano yung tapos kunin ko na lang yung exact address nila.
Jimmy will use online payment apps like GCash and PayMaya to send out cash to his more than 30 godchildren.
Ang message ko sa kanila, hindi nila yung message ko. Ako bahala mag-message kung kailan nila makukuha yung padala ko sa kanilang GCash. Huwag silang mangulit.
Some apps now even have a send pamasko feature. Users can also directly send money through bank transfer and write a personalized message for their godchildren. They can also choose to give virtual gifts like prepaid loans and vouchers, which may be used when buying items online. With such platforms available, godparents appeal to their godchildren not to go out anymore, and the health department agrees.
Ang mga bata ay maaaring makakuha ng sakit na COVID-19 mula sa mga matatanda, so maaari talaga silang mahawa at maaari rin silang makahawa sa ibang tao. At nakita na po ito sa isang research na ang mga bata ay mahalagang silent spreader ng COVID-19.
Christmas caroling or pamamasko may be different this season compared to past years. But for godparents, keeping both themselves and their godchildren safe is one, or if not the most meaningful gift they could give this Christmas. Shaila Francisco, VR 1 News.
And this just in, President Rodrigo Duterte has given the go signal for the pilot implementation of face-to-face classes in January. The dry run will be conducted in select areas with low COVID risk. The palace says this is not compulsory. It will require parents' permission before a student can participate. 400 residents in Mabini, Batangas received Noche Buena packages from the MVP group of companies. The beneficiaries are mostly resort employees and fisherfolk heavily affected by the pandemic and the recent series of typhoons. MPIC Foundation President Melody Del Rosario says they want Filipinos, especially those in need, to feel the Christmas season despite the year's challenges. The MVP group will continue to deliver Noche Buena packages to residents in Siargao, Pangasinan, and Misamis Oriental. Now a look at the game with Paulo Del Rosario.
Thanks, Robbie. In boxing, Nonito the Filipino Flash Donaire shared an update on his health after the announced cancellation of his WBC bantamweight title bout. Donaire was forced to pull out of his title match against Emmanuel Rodriguez after testing positive for COVID-19. The former world champion shares on Twitter that he underwent 3 new tests for COVID-19, which all gave negative results, contrary to his initial test. Meanwhile, in the PBA, fresh from Barangay Ginebra's Philippine Cup win, the 2-time champion Stanley Pringle shares that the bubble experience made their team closer than ever. Their first ever bubble experience was made even sweeter after they took home Ginebra's first all-Filipino crown in 13 years after beating the TNT Tropang Giga in 5 games. While his teammate L.A. Tenorio was named the finals MVP, Stan the Man averaged over 20 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 4.5 assists heading into their championship game. When asked about his thoughts about the Best Player of the Conference award, the two-time PBA champion simply said the other candidates are all deserving of the BPC trophy. That's it for the latest in the world of sports. Catch us again later at 9:30 p.m. here on One News and One Sports Plus. My name is Paulo De Rosario. This has been The Game. Back to you, Robbie.
Thanks, Paolo. The U.S. is gearing up for mass COVID-19 vaccinations after approving Pfizer-BioNTech shots for emergency use over the weekend. The first shipment of Pfizer's vaccines were released Sunday that launches the largest and most complex vaccine distribution project in the United States. Masked workers at a Pfizer factory in Michigan loaded cartons of vaccine vials onto large coolers for shipment. A top U.S. advisor on COVID response, the target is to have 100 million Americans vaccinated by the first quarter of next year, starting with healthcare workers and elderly residents in senior homes. It's the same situation over in Canada, where Pfizer also secured emergency use authorization for its COVID-19 shots. The first batch of doses arrived Sunday from a UPS plane that landed just outside of Montreal. An initial 30,000 doses will go to 14 sites across Canada, also targeting the elderly and frontline health workers. And that wraps up today's big story. Catch us again on Monday at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250. Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. It's 11 days to go before Christmas. Tuloy na tuloy pa rin ang Pasko, kapatid. I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News. Good evening.
Tayo'y maging liwanag ng Pasko. Tulong-tulong tayo. Tayo'y liwanag, ikaw at ako. Tuloy pa rin ang Pasko. Tayo'y maging liwanag ng Pasko. Tulong-tulong tayo. Pasko. Kapit sa pag-asa.